Are you working in the programmatic area?
Very, very much. So the clear demand is that folks want machines to be interacting with machines because of the efficiency and the always-on capacity they provide. However, it's important that we realize that the data sets oftentimes lag the ability to act with the speed of a lot of programmatic exchanges in technology today. What we're focusing on is bringing data sets that can respond between 24 and 72 hours of when someone made a purchase or interacted in some way in an offline or online behavior, and bring that very directly to those programmatic exchanges.
What role do you play in programmatic?
It's actually a rather simple one. It's to make sure that every data source knows exactly how their data is being used, when it's being deployed, and to prevent any derivative products or unfair or inappropriate use in any given moment, no matter the capability or use case that's being applied. So it does things like make sure there's a handshake or ultimately permission between a large data source and a programmatic exchange or buyer based on the contracts in place and the necessary permissions of the core source, and then enacts those capabilities very quickly and efficiently.
Let's talk a little bit about attribution and optimization. What role can you play? What are you able to get from the data?
Yeah, so on behalf of the data sources, the exciting part is now data can come back to the buyer and ultimately the person who's executing the media within a handful of hours in the near term, but right away in the sort of next day or two. That's one of the fastest ways we've ever been able to bring deterministically linked purchase information back to the media companies. The avenue this opens up for them is that they are no longer reliant on a endpoint measurement solution, but rather it could take account on a 3 or 4 day interval of which creatives are driving the most incremental sales, or what frequency cap is driving the most incremental sales, and every possible combination. And if we think through the lens of programmatic, that's particularly important because there's nearly infinite combinations now of tactics being deployed. We see people selecting someone based on a particular audience segmentation. Then we see them choosing the format, the frequency, the placement, the time of day, and every combination thereof, and sure, many more tactics. So this data allows you, because of the scale, to provide a very granular but also very fast response and not punish the person who's trying to deliver the most efficiency by waiting till the end when there's no more budgetary dollars to be left.
So I'm assuming you can also look at it from the content side, where for the same segmentation, one particular cable network or broadcast program could bring in sales, but another targeting and attracting the exact same segment did not. Are you able to parse it out that way?
That's exactly right. The value of near real-time credit and debit card data is you have an immediate capacity to compare everything from content to creative, and therefore put not only accountability but empower the agencies and the media companies to make more effective decisions, not just on how they're going to deliver the creative in the campaign, but also about how they're going to potentially sell their inventory with the best possible fit to the best advertiser in the future.
Let's go through an example of your process.
Sure. There is fundamentally 4 use cases that we've been able to get the financial institutions comfortable with today. The first one is the concept of auditing. This provides us a capability where when you have a set of de-identified consumer IDs, meaning that you know who they are but they're behind a locked wall, you have the ability to submit those IDs to one of these data sources, first and foremost to understand how much it's going to cost you to get a response on the buyer side, but more importantly on the supplier side to make sure they are 100% comfortable and clear about exactly the use of the data. The aggregated response then to the audit inquiry is able to tell you what percentage of these IDs actually bought at a particular merchant. So in real world terms, you see thousands, if not tens of thousands, of third-party segments that infer behavior. But there's a little bit of vagueness at times about how fresh that data is or exactly how you figured out the definition that someone is a fast food shopper. What this data allows you to do is to take a census read and figure out what percentage of those actual claim behaviors are verified shopping behaviors within a particular time period, all based on deterministically linked credit and debit card shopping behavior. Once you've figured out that you have the right audience segment, you might take the next step and use this data to figure out what geographic areas or segments are best fitted with the greatest concentration of things like fast food shoppers. Another great question that some of the financial institutions are ready to answer in aggregate. The meat of it then turns into the same capabilities we've been begging for years around accountability. Optimization in near real time that can happen in flight based on a day or two lag of credit or debit shopping behavior. And then in final form, you have the ability to answer back how many incremental dollars based on all the tactics and all the changes you made at the end of the campaign actually occurred. So we go from verifying the shopping behavior to finding the best areas to reach those particular consumers and shoppers, to being able to make very granular and rapid, agile changes, whether it's a human pulling the levers or two machines in a programmatic capacity, and then in end form be able to close the loop and display the incremental sales based on how many people shopped compared to a group that is identical in every way possible except for the fact they didn't see the advertisement.
What do you think the role of programmatic will be in the future? How dominant do you think it will be?
I believe there's no questions that machines are going to make better and better informed decisions with each other. We already saw the rise of programmatic well before today's day and age in is there any inventory available? And now there's a rise of is there any inventory available that has the right context or depth of insight? I think programmatic has to be a very important concept as we think about the role of optimization specifically. So data sources have become much faster about providing the insight. No shortage of people being able to slice and dice media tactics faster and faster. But I find it hard to believe that with 1,000 different segmentations of different media delivery that you're going to be giving to large populations of consumers, that a human being is going to upload or ask questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week about all those different segmentations. So it feels very intuitive that those ID groups of people that saw creative A versus creative B, but 1,000 of them are going to be uploaded and interpreted by a machine and then responded accordingly.